Now we are at 480 trillion.
Is there still time to sleep? When do you get up? When do you go to sleep?
I think first of all, look, the education system needs to adapt.
Can we still trust our eyes while scrolling through the internet? Okay, let's be honest, what has been happening in the world of tech over the last few years is absolutely insane. Smartphones are turning into smart glasses. We are seeing tech startups pop out of nowhere that either fail completely or go on to change the entire world.
ChatGPT.
Artificial intelligence is the tech topic for years now, and I got to talk all about it with this man right here, Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google. He told me what he really thinks about AI, answering questions like, are we about to be replaced in our jobs? Or how is this actually going to work out here on social media? And a quick heads up for my German-speaking community, I've decided to make this entire video in English, but you can turn on the German subtitles that I've added for you right here on YouTube. So then, hi, I'm Jay and you're watching my interview with the CEO of Google. Hello again, and thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it talking to you.
It's a real pleasure.
Having this interview. I would like to start with a simple question. So, as a CEO of Google, of Alphabet, you do have a lot of things to do every day. Is there still time to sleep? When do you get up? When do you go to sleep?
Look, I mean, of course, sleep is important. I try to get 6 hours. That's my goal, and I think I average around there. It's an exciting time in the industry, but I've always been a late night person. I tend to catch up towards the end of the day, but yeah, that's what I do.
So, of course, you have got lots of responsibility. You're the CEO of Google, that means search, YouTube, Maps, and so on. Of course, Gemini plays maybe the biggest role nowadays for you and your company. Now we've got AI overview. Every search now is basically a kind of AI request.
Yeah.
Can you approximately say how many AI requests does Gemini basically process, maybe every second, every minute, something like that, so we can get a number of how important Gemini is for you as a company?
I mean, I'll share a couple metrics for you. One is what we call AI overviews are being used by 1.5 billion people every month. But if you look at the tokens processed, last year at I/O, we were roughly at 9.7. Now we are at 480 trillion we are processing across our infrastructure.
So maybe for the younger people, may you just explain what one token means for just a normal search?
If you type in a query which is like 3 words or something, it could be anywhere from like 8 to 10 tokens, right? So, yeah. Or more, but so that's what it means, yeah.
Okay.
So that's why we say we are operating at the scale of human curiosity, right? That's what it is.
Just getting more, I guess.
Yeah, just getting more, yeah.
So just as a quick reminder, what exactly are tokens in the world of AI? The thing is, a computer cannot read a sentence we type in the same way as humans can. Instead, to understand the text faster, it breaks it down into smaller individual parts, the so-called tokens. One token can be a whole word like and or hello, but a word can also be split into 2 tokens, for example, football or weekend, or even into 3 tokens for words like unfriendly or independent. A token can also be a patch of pixels from an image or a snippet of an audio track. So really, this is the basic unit we use to measure AI. I collected a lot of questions out of my community. It was very hard sorting them out.
Did you use AI to sort it out?
No, I didn't.
Still,
actually,
you did the hard work?
Yeah, I did actually work by myself.
Yeah.
Let's stick to maybe 3 big questions.
Okay.
My community was very interested in. The first one I would ask you to please imagine as me being a programmer, a software developer, sitting in front of you, just finished my education. And of course, you at Alphabet, you have a lot of software developers, lots of programmers at your company. Now we saw Canvas in Gemini, we saw Project Jules. Jules, what would you tell me if I tell you as a programmer, as a software developer, that I'm afraid that AI will maybe replace my job someday?
Look, I can tell you from our Google's own experience, we've been deploying AI to help our engineers. And we are continuing to hire engineers, right? I think because it will enable us to do more as a company. But I think if you're a developer, you get to spend more of your time on the problem solving, on the creative, on architecting. And once these tools get even better, there are things which you know how to do, but it's going to just take a long time to do it. Think about in web design, the amount of time you've spent dealing with CSS or something like that. Just having these programs do that mundane work for you, and then you being able to edit it the way you want it. I think it just allows all of us to be more creative, right? And you're a YouTube creator, you make videos. Tomorrow, if we give you tools which makes the process of creating those videos easier, you're going to use it, right? And so I think I understand the concern, but I think we are definitely at a phase where it'll allow more people to become programmers, but the very good programmers can become even better, right? And so that's the way I see it, right? Just like Google Docs or Microsoft Word, etc., didn't make what authors do different. So I think there's a lot of room for developers. But I would lean in, learn these tools, while I'm also occasionally testing my own fundamentals deeply. And I think both are going to be important.
Okay, so you think we'll still need these developers in future?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's stick to this roleplay. I think it makes us understand a bit better. I'm switching now from a software developer to a, let's say, 15-year-old student.
Yeah.
I know you have kids by yourself. I know many people in this age group, like let's say 12 to 18 and up, do profit from this artificial intelligence by maybe letting it do its own the homework, by just not having to do the work by yourself anymore. If I would be such a student sitting in front of you and I tell you this, I use Gemini for doing my homework, it works way faster, I can search anything up that I want to in just a second, what would you tell me? Why should I still do the homework by myself and just still go to school and learn my things?
I think first of all, look, the education system needs to adapt.
Yeah.
Right? I think if it stays where it is, you're going to see people do more and more like that. But I think, again, in the context of a classroom, I still feel, for example, in history, is the emphasis really on remembering dates and events, or more broadly understanding the implications of what happened and what we can learn for the future from it?
Yeah.
So I think it's shifting the emphasis from the former to the latter.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and I think in each subject, allowing people to spend more time on what is the creative part, what is the implications in the learning part, is what education needs to evolve. These tools are going to force it to evolve in that direction. Look, I can still be a professor and I can say at the end of the class, I'm still going to interview students for 10 minutes and ask them a few questions. If you do that, if you've just done everything using Gemini or some other AI tool, you're not going to be able to do that, right? So I think I see over the last year, I see more and more teachers beginning to adapt and embrace this. So we will go through some of a turbulent phase, but I think people will get used to it. Having access to Google search, do you think when you were a student, you probably had access to Google search?
Of course, yeah.
Do you think that helped you, or
Yeah, of course it did.
So it's a version of that, right? These are all super versions of that. So I think it'll be pretty positive over time.
Okay, so you think the system itself has to adapt to the AI era?
That's right.
I find both of these answers incredibly fascinating because it means nothing less than the majority of our life is set to change. We're talking about the entire span here, from the age of 5 to 7 when you start your school career, all the way to when you transition from your job into retirement between 60 and 70 or even later. And when it comes to topics like the school system, I've made videos on that a long time ago. And yes, I can at least speak for us here in Germany when I say things desperately need to change. On the other hand, of course, and I see this as the biggest challenge, we constantly have to make sure that AI is here to support humans, not to replace them. The first industries are already facing this exact challenge, but I'd love to hear your opinion on this, so let me know in the comments down below. Do you prefer coffee or tea in the morning?
I drink tea in the morning and then switch to coffee later in the day.
Light mode or dark mode for your phone?
I use search in light mode, Gemini in dark mode.
Short form video or long form video?
I still prefer long form video.
Okay.
I love learning on YouTube, and so I love, the longer form content.
Traditional smartphone or smart glasses, as we saw today?
Since, I have prescription, I wear glasses all the time, I can't wait for these glasses to be smarter than they are.
Me neither.
Yeah, there you go.
So maybe one last big question, as we have just some time left. Let's switch back to me as a creator. I'm doing video content, I'm recording video content, editing it and uploading it. So scrolling through social media shows me a lot of artificial generated content already. Many studies say there will be more artificial content in future than real recorded video. It's a bit simplified question, but can we still trust our eyes while scrolling through the internet?
Look, I think part of it is over time, there will be moments and places where people will value that human experience. I do think it's important over time to kind of label what are AI generated versus not. And so all this, we have to evolve as norms, right? And I think we are in the early stages of this technology. I think it's always going to be important for you to know whether something really happened or you're looking at something which is a fake. So I think people will want like objective sources of truth. Journalism will matter, human voices will matter, but AI will also play an extraordinary role. So for example, tomorrow I can say I want to learn on a topic, find all the content and create a personalized course for me. It may still involve content from creators, but so you can have these interesting paradigms coming together too.
I hope people will be able to differentiate between those. Thank you very much.
Thank
you. Hope to talk to you again in a future interview. It was very exciting.
Likewise. Thank you. Great seeing you.
Of course, at this point, I want to say thank you. First to Sundar Pichai for taking the time, but also to you guys, because it's only due to your support that interviews like this are even possible for me in the first place. I'll see you in the next video, which, by the way, will be back in German, I'll promise. Until then, see you all. Bye-bye.